My first encounter with stand-up comedy was when I was 21 years old in college. And my teacher showed me the stand-up from Eddie Murphy, which was called Raw.
Excuse me? I said, where you going? You don't own me. You my woman, ain't you? I don't see no rings on these fingers.
And ever since then, I became a huge fan of stand-up comedy, and it has improved my English tremendously. So today, we are going to talk about stand-up comedy. Let's get right into it. This is the first part of this two-part series. In today's part, we're going to focus on the history and development of stand-up comedy as an art form. The comedic journey of stand-up comedy started in the 19th century. It started with what we know now as lectures, much similar to what university teachers will teach their students standing on a stage with a huge audience. But in the 19th century, stand-up comedy started with what we know as vaudeville shows. Comedians, such as writers like Mark Twain, started standing on stage and humorously talk about anecdotes and sharing their funny observations of everyday life. Fast forward to the 20th century, the vaudeville theaters were buzzing. Stand-up, still at its infancy, became part of the vaudeville shows. Performers of stand-up comedies honed their skills, relying on rapid-fire jokes and also storytelling to make their jokes more captivating. In the mid-20th century, stand-up comedy moved to nightclubs, which were very popular at that time. Lenny Bruce and George Carlin, two very talented stand-up comedians, they broke away from conventional humor, delving into social commentary and pushing the boundaries of free speech.
This magnificent American landscape that we inherited, well, actually, we stole it from the Mexicans and the Indians, but hey, it was nice when we stole it.
In the late 20th century, we witnessed a rise and development of comedy clubs. Some of them are still very famous. For example, the Comedy Cellar in New York. Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, and so on and so forth brought a raw and edgy style to the stage. Comedy became a mirror, reflecting the social changes, making people laugh while promoting introspection. In the digital era, stand-up comedy became more widespread. Comedians like Louis C.K. and Jimmy O. Young, they used online platforms such as YouTube to promote their stand-up comedies. Also, streaming services such as Netflix promote a lot of recommendations for stand-up comedies. These online services and streaming services also provided a lot of diverse voices in stand-up comedy, allowing audience all over the world to have access to online content and laugh with everybody else in the world. Let's talk about characteristics of stand-up comedy. Solo act. Very similar to 相声 in China. Stand-up comedy is also a performance on stage where the performers tell jokes to a big audience. But different from 相声, stand-up comedy usually only involves one performer with one microphone on stage. Observational humor. A lot of the stand-up comedians use very unique angles to observe everyday life, telling nuanced jokes to make audience connect to what they're saying and laugh with them. Such comedians might involve Jerry Seinfeld and Jim Carrey.
There's nothing the female brain cannot do. It will solve all problems of Earth and life. Having completed that, it will move on to the hypothetical.
Timing and delivery. Delivery means how a comedian tells his jokes, and this might take a lot of practice to get these jokes to work. Timing is also very important. When the comedian tells the punchline, greatly influences if the joke is funny or not.
My mom and dad once made me smoke an entire pack of cigarettes. An entire pack of cigarettes in one sitting, just to teach me an important lesson about brand loyalty.
Social commentary. Many comedians use jokes to comment on current events, making people connect to those current events and also laugh with them. Comedians like Dave Chappelle and George Carlin are masters at this craft. Improvisation. Improvisation means the comedians do not plan too much. It takes a lot of work behind the curtains, and it also takes a lot of quick wit to make those jokes work. Crowd work. Crowd work is a type of improvisation, but it involves not only the performer, but also the audience. The comedian directly connects to the audience. This interaction might include engaging with individual audience or responding to the whole audience as a whole. Comedians like Matt Rife is really good at crowd work. I hope this video is helpful to help you understand the history and development of stand-up comedy. In the next video of this series, we are going to give you recommendations of some of the best comedians and their works out there for you to dive into and watch and learn and laugh. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and follow me. And remember, you can always go to my shop, click the link below, or private message me to get my class bundles. I'll see you guys next time in the second episode in 闪颖 Blinglish 小颖课堂. Bye!